The truth behind the BS. For New York, nothing at all in between. This is Bernard McGurk.
So Bernie.
This is Sid Rosenberg.
The one and only Sid.
Live, local, on it.
You never know what's going to happen.
Exclusively.
What is this?
77 WABC.
The government has no business in the decisions that women make.
And you take a look at the people of Haiti, and I want to tell you, they hate the Clintons, because what's happened in Haiti with the Clinton Foundation is a disgrace.
You are very clearly quoting from WikiLeaks, and what's really important about WikiLeaks is that the Russian government has engaged in espionage against Americans. This has come from the highest levels of the Russian government, clearly from Putin himself.
That was a great pivot off the fact that you want open borders, okay?
You're not up to doing the job. He's talking down our democracy, and I, for one, am appalled. He'd rather have a puppet as president of the United States.
No puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet. I'd like to ask you right now, why don't you give back the money that you've taken from certain countries that treat certain groups of people so horribly?
There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged again.
Should have gotten it.
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks.
I think what the FBI did and what the Department of Justice did, including meeting with her husband, the Attorney General, in the back of an airplane on the tarmac in Arizona.
Right.
I think it's disgraceful.
When it comes to the wall that Donald talks about building, he went to Mexico. He had a meeting with the Mexican president. Didn't even raise it. He choked.
But we have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
Mucho bad hombres.
Oh, nice little musical change there. We go from Eric Clapton and Layla to Elton John. Sorry, folks, there it was. The highlights or lowlights, however you define them, from last night's third and final presidential debate from Las Vegas. And, I'll get your take on the whole thing last night. I think we'll start with this. I think you and I will both agree that of all the moderators, the three we saw before this one, Lester Holt, NBC, Martha Raddatz, ABC, and Anderson Cooper, CNN, Chris Wallace was by far the best, yes?
Oh, first question out of Mr. Imos's mouth this morning to me on the air was, who won last night? I said Chris Wallace.
Yeah, he was the best. There's no question. All right, well, let's get to what Imus asked you. I'm not going to fight with you today. It's over. The election is 19 days away.
You're going to have mercy on me, right?
The election is 19 days away. He has no chance of winning. Even a miracle wouldn't help him at this point. But with that said, what do you think happened last night?
Well, I think that Trump had a fairly decent performance, but he needed to body slam her. He needed a knockout. He needed a grand slam, to use sporting analogies. And he didn't get any of those. He needed to complete a Hail Mary pass, so to speak. He didn't have any of them. And you know what? He didn't even have the mirth and the upbeat attitude that he sort of displayed during the primary, some of the primary debates. That was all missing. He was angry. He did catch her on a couple of things you heard during Flirty Flipper's brilliant, excellent montage that she put together, did not steal it from anybody. He hit her good on the Clinton Foundation, how they raped Haiti, which he should have done. He missed the opportunity of pointing out the corruption, the unmitigated, the naked, raw corruption of how 20% of our uranium got into Putin's hands, and Bill Clinton got $500,000 from the company that bought it. The Clinton Foundation got millions of dollars in the deal. She approved the deal. He missed that opportunity, but he did ask her. He put her on the spot. You're going to give the blood money back from the Jew-hating, gay-hating, terrorist apologizing nations, terrorist-supporting nations. And she stumbled around on that. But beyond that, there were no good lines. There were no laughs. It was a real downbeat. It's just I think everybody agrees, no mas. And yes, he's behind the eight ball now, as you say. And it would take some sort of event that, God forbid, some terrible event that might make shake people up and say, you know what? maybe we should go to Trump. And even that might not even help.
Even then, it's not going to help. Look, I thought he lost every single debate. I know you thought he won the second debate. I'll say it again. There was a qualifier. His campaign survived. What I've said all along is, and I said this even before the whole Hillary thing started, this is a different animal. This is not John Kasich or Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush. He's not capable. He's just not capable of beating her on a debate stage. Now, she lies her way through it. I'm voting for her. I'm endorsing her. And I'm admitting to you, Bernard, she lies her way through it. But no matter how she gets through it, she seems prepared. She seems ready.
She's slick.
She looks smart.
Yep.
You could use slick whatever you want.
No, she is slick, and she's smart.
She's got answers. And her answers may be lies, but he's got nothing.
He's not prepared enough. He's not quick enough on his feet. And I would even say he lacks the depth of knowledge necessary to stand there for 90 minutes and definitely pull facts up from the back of his back pocket and use them against her. He lacks it. Having said all that and everything I just said before, he would make a better president.
Okay.
We
disagree.
With advisors, he would make the correct
What
decision.
Advisors? I'm curious because everybody around him, I think, is a clown. From Christie to Giuliani to all these guys. Who are these great Republicans out there?
Giuliani is not a clown.
Yes, he is. He's turned into one. He was a hero once.
Governor Christie, he's just, look, you know what? He's one of the most hated guys in New Jersey right now. I don't know if you saw the polls.
I saw
the approval ratings.
Yeah.
And plus, he's a rat. He's a fat rat who jumped off the ship last week. I'm not jumping off the ship. I'm just keeping it real.
No.
I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I still think there is a silent support out there, a Brexit type of thing.
But you
not
know,
enough, maybe.
Not enough, right? Come on, stop. So he has been battling for the last, really since the first debate. He's never come back from the first debate. Right before the first debate, he evened things up. Maybe even had a chance to win this thing. Ever since the first debate, he's gone down. And after the first debate, then the Billy Bush tapes came out, all the rest of that nonsense. His second debate, which you thought was so good, he got zero push because the next day Paul Ryan beat him up and the Bush tapes come out. And he'll get nothing from last night because I thought he lost again. I would just say that he had an opportunity about a month ago, and he's done nothing. He has done nothing in the last month to help himself. That's all I would say.
And again, like on the issues, for example, and that's why I say slick, was she's asked directly about open borders from Chris Wallace, a topic that she's very vulnerable on, and that Trump is on the right side of. And she goes from open borders to Putin in 10 seconds.
Right.
She's talking Putin. But it doesn't. It doesn't matter.
But can I stop you for a second? Because I agree with you. She did do that, and that was kind of slick and sleazy. But when he's pressed on something, I mean, he had a couple of real moronic moments last night, giggling about the Emmys because he thinks that if he doesn't win something, it's rigged. To the part where she explained that he makes things in 12 different countries, including Chinese steel. So what he does is he goes right to the emails. He has no way to defend himself. The 3 or 4 times she punched him right across the face last night, he didn't even try to defend himself. It was like, yeah, but you have emails. I mean, come on.
Well, he was told to pivot, to try to hit her where it hurts. And it wasn't fantastic. He had a good performance.
He had a good 30 minutes. It was not a good performance overall. He lost decidedly last night, if you're going to be honest.
And then you have if anything, the media will help him in this regard. He talks about bad hombres, which may be corny or whatever. But they try to turn it into, like he said, the SP word that rhymes with trick.
Oh, they
about
said
Latino.
That?
Yeah. They spent a half hour on CNN last night about bad hombres. Like it was the N word.
No, it's stupid.
I mean, the way the media will reach to try to distort things. Yeah. Hopefully, from my point of view, that will have some effect. That type of backlash against that type of overreach by these wannabe victims. The dishonest media, as he's been saying for a long time.
Let me clue you in. I think almost every Hillary supporter realizes the media is somewhat dishonest and is on her side. I know I do. I know all my friends and family voting for her do.
Yeah.
We don't care. We're not going to change our vote for Donald Trump because he is in fact in this case The victim. He is. He gets treated unfairly. But we're not going to vote for the guy because he bitches and whines about rigged elections and lousy media and all that nonsense if he can't stand up on stage for 90 minutes and articulate 2 or 3 good facts.
I don't think he swayed anybody to his side, but neither did she.
She doesn't have to. She's up by 9 points.
I know that. I've been saying that. I'm just pointing that out, that she didn't sway a damn person. She didn't fool anybody that wasn't already undecided or against her.
I agree. She did what she had to do. She's got a big lead. Unless you think there's billions of people out there, this Brexit nonsense I've been hearing about for a month. She didn't have to do much. She didn't embarrass herself. I think she won, but she didn't have to kill him. He had to kill her.
Well, she had that phony, creepy clown smile all night long.
Yeah,
and
she does have that.
And she's just annoying. She's just annoying.
No, she's annoying.
She's still a liar.
Wait, but the snipples and the stares and the angry look.
I pointed that out on O'Reilly the other night. The Ralph Cramden-looking facial expressions. Look, I understand. I don't know what this. Look, we'll see. They'll take polls. We'll get some polls within 5 days or so. And we'll see. I don't know. Maybe
Listen,
I keep hope alive is what I say.
We need to talk.
I'm not going to wave the white flag
fine.
2 weeks before the war is over.
We need to talk. We need to talk, okay? Bill Donohue is coming on. He's a great guest in about 20 minutes. We're going to talk to Michael Goodwin, the great writer from the New York Post next hour. We got 2 great guests today. We're going to allow the listeners to call and tell us what they think. But I'm going to be honest with you. We've been together now for almost 9 months. We've gone through all of it. The primaries, the ups, the downs, from Iowa to the 3rd and final presidential election. You are dejected. You are visibly, no, I'm being serious. You are visibly tired, disappointed, dejected as a Trump supporter.
Kind of the way he looked at the end of the debate last night.
And Flipper, right behind me, who has been more annoying than you, at times beyond stupid during this election.
Oh, take it easy, okay?
Beyond stupid.
Have a little
I love her, but she has come out today and said...
Be a good winner, all right?
She's done with him.
I didn't say I'm done with him.
Oh.
No. What I said was watching him talk about abortion was cringeworthy.
And that's not what you said. You said he lost me. He blew it.
He did. He he blew it, in my opinion. But I'm not. I don't know. I have mixed emotions.
Wait, but he had all these classic examples. You have to understand that hospitals and doctors' offices and they are loaded with women in their 9th month about to give birth any day that decide 4 days before to get an abortion.
I know that was ridiculous. That was.
Yeah, he was putting on a hypothetical, is what he was saying. He was forcing her to try to defend that, is what he was trying to do.
Could have been a more realistic hypothetical than 4 days before the birth they're lining up for abortions.
Well,
no one
some
does
people would say, 14 days or 24 days.
No one does that.
He needed to get the independent vote, which is me and other people, and he was pandering more toward conservatives. He already has their vote, and going on about abortion, it was just terrible.
How about the fact that there was no handshake at the beginning?
Well, that's on the Clintons. I got to defend Donald there. The Clintons were the ones who actually designed. Right.
The same with the with Melania and Bill. No family greeting. It was. It's ugly.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I've told you this before. I can't stand after a football game when the losing team shakes hands and smiles with the opposing team. They genuinely, I believe, don't like each other. I think Hillary and Donald Trump at this point...
loathe each other. And but they will be on stage together tonight at the Al Smith dinner right here in New York. They're going to be together. Which, for example, last year you had Romney and Obama. They traded some lighthearted jabs and barbs at each other on stage in tuxedos, etc. But it'd be interesting to see what happens tonight. And that's Al Smith dinner. Cardinal Dolan will be there. Another thing that the anti-Catholic bigotry that nobody forces her to say, hey, make your guy apologize.
Well, she didn't say it. Well, John Podesta said it.
I know, but if it was Corey Lewandowski who was working for Trump, they'd be saying, hey, Trump, what do you think about what Corey did? Right?
Okay. Corey kept him. But
nobody...
Donald kept him.
Nobody puts her on the spot.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
No apology.
She didn't say it. She didn't say it.
I know, but they work for her. It's a campaign manager.
Let me ask you a question.
If Kellyanne Conway said something about, backwards Muslims or Jews or something like that, you damn snappy... There'd be an apology. What do you think about what Kellyanne Conway said? Should she apologize? Nothing.
Maybe so. But the fact is she didn't say it, so. I mean, at that point, you're reaching.
Bill Donohue's going to come on, and he's going to discuss that.
Well, but he doesn't like her. He likes Donald Trump.
1-800-848-9222. Bernie and Sid back after this. Yeah, back on Bernie and Sid the morning after the last debate, and we're going to go straight to the phone lines. Elaine from Yonkers. Elaine, you're on Bernie and Sid. Hey, good morning.
Hey, how are you? So, Sid, I have a question, and, let me finish before you interrupt me, but were you watching, like, a figure skating event in the Olympics yesterday? I mean, you're watching this debate, like you think, like, we're going to go blow by blow. Don't forget, this woman has been on the stage debating for 50 years. She mopped the floors with her for the amount of experience she had. She stood up there in her Kim Jong-il suit and had no answers.
But you know what? Let me speak for Sid, Elaine. Listen,
I'm not saying a word. Nobody say. I thought she had plenty of answers. He never has any answers. He never has answers. He never does.
Elaine, nobody despises Hillary Clinton more than myself. But are you asserting that Trump had a good performance and won last night? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that he had a good performance. What I think
do you think it was enough?
A large silent majority. And if you think that
I know that. I agree. I've made those points. I've made those points about the Brexit vote and that silent support out there. But yet last night it was mirthless. There were no laughs. He seemed sort of dejected, and it was sort of a tie. It was an adequate performance, but he needed more than that, is what I'm saying, Elaine. And as a Trump supporter, can't we be honest about that?
No matter what he would have said, if he would have come out more aggressive towards her, he would have been a bully, and he would have been a racist, and he would have been all the things that they've been dogpiling him for months. I mean, it's ridiculous. The guy he did an okay performance. He did well for the last debate. I think he choked on the first one. The second one, he beat the snot out of her.
Okay, well, listen, right. Elaine, it's not going to matter in 19 days. She's going to beat him badly. It may be as decisive as 1988, and then you can bitch and complain the next 4 years how your guy was going to save the country and save the world, and maybe in 4 years the GOP will have a real candidate and not some circus clown television star. He was
good, a good candidate, flawed. But charismatic and right on the issues. But in his one-on-one debate performances, he did in the second debate, I believe. I know you disagree, Sid. I thought he hit it out of the park.
No.
But last night, he needed more last night because of the horrible 2 weeks he's had. He needed a lot more.
Yeah.
And he didn't seem to have it. There's still almost 2.5 weeks left. I'm keeping hope alive after Noam with the news. Bill Donohue.
Are just extraordinarily patronizing and insulting to Catholics. If it had been said about the Jewish community, if it had been said about the Islamic community, within 10 minutes there would have been an apology and a complete distancing from those remarks. Hasn't happened yet. I'm hoping that she's going to distance herself from these very insulting remarks of her chief of staff.
I hope Cardinal Dolan is not holding his breath. That's who you heard just there, back on the Bernie and Sid show on 77 WABC. Speaking about some of these released emails of Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, in which they mocked my religion.
What do you mean they? John Podesta.
Yes,
did.
And Jennifer Palmieri.
Right.
Two of Hillary's top hench people.
But not Hillary.
No, and she has not demanded an apology, nor has she fired anybody.
Unlike Donald Trump, who's offended just about every single race, and he apologizes all the time.
And nobody brings it up.
Well, we're bringing it up right now. We got the best guest of the day coming on.
Who's that?
Oh, come on, the head of the Catholic League, he is maybe the closest thing to God on this planet, Bill Donohue. He
is in New York City, I can tell you that. Bill Donohue, good morning. Welcome to the Bernie and Sid show.
Hey, thank you very much. Boy, that compliment's not going to get me too far. All the bums who know me as my friend, I mean, forget about it.
Listen, he's self-effacing and a very humble man as well, which what we like about him. But yes. Bill, you heard Cardinal Dolan. These emails. First of all, let's set the table here. Podesta received some emails, exchanges, and he labeled the Catholic religion severely backwards. They mocked baptism, among other things. Am I correct, Bill Donohue?
You are, but let me tell you something. There are two stages to this. You just correctly mentioned the first stage. That's the least offensive. The bigoted comments and, we're all stupid and, we're living in medieval times and everything else. I see that kind of stuff every day. What is pernicious, though, which is entirely different, is the exchange between Sandy Newman, who is not Catholic, who's saying to Podesta, we need to plant the seeds of a revolution within the Catholic Church. Podesta says, I'm on it. I've already done it. I've created two groups, Catholics United and Catholics in Alliance for the Common Good. These are two groups which I have pointed out many times before for years. They are dummy Catholic letterhead organizations. Now we know, set up by the campaign chairman to Hillary Clinton for the express purpose of creating the seeds of division and a revolution within the Catholic Church. I just don't think it gets much worse than this, and I commend Cardinal Dolan for calling her out on it. That's her chief guy. It's not a volunteer from Missouri. It's not a low-staff employee.
And by the way, what he said was we need a quote-unquote Catholic spring, is what Podesta said in regards to what you just pointed out. But, so that's the question. Where is the outrage? And like you say, he's her campaign manager, this guy, big wig. And where's the outrage? Where's the demands for apologies, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, the New York Times only made a veiled reference to it. We've been tracking this. Most of the major media won't even touch this issue. And if they do, they talk about the least of the serious of the two infractions. In other words, the bigoted remarks. Now, obviously, I'm against bigoted remarks against any particular demographic group. But, when you have somebody admitting that I'm creating dummy organizations for the purpose of creating a revolution within the church, that should be front page news. That's the real story here, not somebody's swipe at Catholics.
Well, I would say this, Bill, and I want to be respectful because I'm Jewish, I'm not Catholic, but I certainly love Catholics and love you. But the hypocrisy that goes on, I work with somebody who has commended Donald Trump over and over again for his loyalty to people on his staff who have done some very stupid things, maybe not as bad as this, but whether it's Corey Lewandowski or Paul Manafort, they eventually got fired, but not because Donald Trump went against them. So on one hand, we've got a candidate where people are commending him on how loyal he is to his people, and secondly, she did not say it. It was John Podesta, not Hillary Clinton. So it's very easy for the Trump supporter to jump all over Hillary Clinton when, A, they commend him on his loyalty, and B, she didn't say it.
Well, he certainly has his share of trash, and I would agree with you on that. And I'm not going to exculpate him any more than I am her. The difference I'd have on this one, what you said, is that if this guy was a low-ranking employee, I'd say, okay, it's a throwaway. How the hell is Hillary supposed to police all this stuff? But that's her campaign chairman. She's known him for decades. And the guy who funds his organization is George Soros. Now, this guy's a billionaire atheist who hates Israel. He just came out and said that recently. He has no use for Catholics. I mean, the nexus is just too tight here. And she does have a moral obligation to say these kind of comments, I distance myself from them. Dolan is right about this. And that the idea of, if I said this to Tony Perkins the other day. He's an evangelical, runs the Family Research Council. I said, can you imagine, Tony, if you and me, you're an evangelical, I'm a Catholic, and we're setting up phony Jewish or Islamic groups? Wouldn't Muslims and Jews be coming down our throats?
See, but here's my fear, Bill. If she comes out in the next day or two, the Trump supporter is not going to accept it. They're going to say she's not sincere. It took, Bill Donohue and Cardinal Dolan and all these folks to get on her. So she may very well come out the next day or two and say something about it. But either way, her detractors, the folks that don't like Hillary Clinton, it's not going to matter, Bill. You know that.
Well, that's true, but quite frankly, last week I was just all over running from one TV studio to another talking about this issue. I basically broke it, and she's had a week. She's not going to apologize now. She had an opportunity to say, listen, he doesn't speak for me, and would that end the whole thing? Maybe not. I think you're right, Sid. A lot of people who just hate her were going to continue to hate her. At least Dolan wouldn't have been forced then to come out and make a comment like this. I mean, they have the Al Smith dinner tonight. You can have Hillary there and Donald there, and they want this to be a roast and good fun and raise money for Catholic charities. That's all fine and good. But they put Cardinal Dolan in a difficult spot because the media asked him, how do you feel about this?
That's fair.
Obviously, he's not going to say, well, it's okay for somebody to try and subvert my religion.
Right, of course not.
And of course, even if it doesn't change anything, it warrants pointing out because of the hypocrisy. Donald Trump retweets something with an innocuous star that looks like the Star of David, and they turn him into, somebody, a Nazi, for God's sakes. So, when something like this, which is way more egregious, occurs, and nobody says boo about it, it warrants attention, I think.
Well, Trump blew it last night, but when she went after him about, what you said about Muslims and whatnot, he could have brought this up. I mean,
Right.
I don't think he did too badly overall, neither did she. But the question is, he's got his baggage, but she's got hers too. Now, I'm not in the business of saying, well, I like to see everybody offended. I don't want to see anybody unnecessarily offended. And there have been a lot of slights, and some of them are sexual in nature, as you well know. And this is probably the dirtiest campaign I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no, it's nauseating. I would ask you this, and I ask this out of ignorance. I admit that as a Jew, as I said, Bill. Seems like, based on what Podesta said, some of the books you've written, and some of the ongoing conversations you've had with me and Bernard, there's almost an assault on Catholicism. Is that a bit of an exaggeration, or in fact, is that taking place?
Well, there's no question about it. Here's the proof. The ADL, which has done a good job over the years, and thank God we have less anti-Semitism today than we've had in the past, is now trying to count the number of anti-Semitic comments made on Twitter. In other words, basically that problem has been largely licked in this country, thank God. Now, I'm not saying it won't come back and that there aren't flashes of it here and there, but I'd look at that from where I'm sitting, and I see what's going on in the Catholic Church and comments coming from federal, state, and local governments. I see it in the media constantly. I see the comments that are made about priests, that they're all a bunch of pedophiles and the like, and I see it in movies. I mean, it's just astonishing to me that the same people who get so exercised about slighting a Muslim have no problem sticking it to Catholics. I mean, it's really amazing.
Yeah, you mentioned that some of these Muslim countries where they throw gays off the roof or they or oppress women, you bring that up and you're some sort of Islamophobe. I mean, it's just the double standard is staggering, and it's almost trite at this point to keep saying it, but it has to be said, I think.
Well, it has to be said, and, quite frankly, religion is the answer. If you take a look at what's going on today, and I just wrote about it and put out a post here, we've never had a higher rates of sexually transmitted diseases, broke all records, than the latest study just came out of the CDC. After all the condoms, all the preventative programs, all the same sex, all the freshman orientation programs, all we've ever done is say more education, more technology. No. How about practice restraint? How about a little virtue, people? Maybe then you wouldn't find out this problem. Gay men are about 1% of the population. They account for the majority of the sexually transmitted diseases in this country. When are we finally going to exercise some responsibility?
Now, on the flip side here, Bill, again, Bill Donohue, head of the Catholic League, one of our favorite people in the whole world, joining us right here. Well, you say religion is the answer. I will tell you, just to play devil's advocate, the other side of you will say, that's the biggest problem in this world. Religion is basically why people fly planes into buildings and listen, I understand.
One religion.
That's fine. There's others, okay? Point is, really? there are people who will tell you that no matter what the religion is, even Jews that are upset with Hasidim, because they think they take it too far. That religion is not only not the answer, but it's the problem. What would you say to those people?
Well, I would say this, that if you're talking about the extremes, and that's fair to talk about. If I want to talk about secularists and I talk about the extremes, I talk about Hitler, Stalin, and Pol Pot. And together they murdered about 200 million, 150 million people in the 20th century, all in the name of atheism. Now, there's dirt all over the place, but I'll tell you what, though, most people, Islam excluded, I'm sorry. You talk about Christians and Jews, the more devout they are, the less likely they are to engage in violence. But when you get to Islam, how many times have we seen these guys, they say, well, he was okay, but then he became radicalized because he became devout.
All the time.
In my religion, the more devout you are, the more you like Mother Teresa. In some people, the more devout they become, the more violent they become. There's something wrong there.
There is something wrong, Bill. We're almost out of time, so I want to get your opinion. You're a consummate New Yorker, is Bill Donohue. I want to get your opinion on the debate last night. You said that Trump is a flawed candidate. Hillary certainly is a flawed candidate, but the whole campaign itself, the presidential race, is sort of dispiriting. What did you think about last night's debate?
Well, I thought that, first of all, I want to give a lot of credit to Chris Wallace, because unlike some of the other moderators, he asked substantive questions and he kept it away from the personal and on to the public policy issues. I thought both of them handled themselves very well. The time that I winced the most out of the entire evening is when Chris Wallace nailed her on her statement, which we came came out through WikiLeaks that she's in favor of open borders.
Yes.
And then she tried to blame it on the energy companies or something. I mean, I just sat there in absolute disbelief. The woman is a congenital liar.
She went to Putin in like 15 seconds.
And by the way, if Donald Trump had half a brain, he would have stuck with that and really attacked her there instead of you concentrating.
No, he did. He said you went to Putin in 15 seconds.
Right. About 3 minutes later, he made one quick throwaway line. That's part of his issue, Bill Donohue, is that he doesn't understand when he's got her on the ropes, and he did have her on the ropes there. I agree with both of you guys. You got to punch harder, and he doesn't seem to understand that. He has had countless opportunities in all three debates, and he's blown a bunch of them. A bunch of them.
It's nice to know that she's in favor of partial birth abortion. When the doctor puts the scissors into the kid's head when he's 80% born, this is the woman who wants to be president of the United States, and she's pro-woman? Wow.
Hey, Bill Donohue, president of the Catholic League, we love you. You're a great guest, and thank you for appearing on Bernie and Sid.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the great work.
You too, Bill. Take care, pal.
Bernie and Sid back after this.
Sid. Live, local, on it.
You never know what's going to happen.
Exclusively.
Bernie and Sid.
77 WABC.
Your running mate, Governor Pence, pledged on Sunday that he and you, his words, will absolutely accept the result of this election. Do you make the same commitment that you will absolutely accept the result of this election?
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time. What I've seen is so bad. First of all, the media, it's so dishonest, and they've poisoned the minds of the voters. But unfortunately for them, I think the voters are seeing through it. I think they're going to see through it. We'll find out on November 8th.
All right, there it is. That is the big story today. Trump refusing to say he'll accept the election results. Chris Wallace, Las Vegas, courtesy last night of the third and final presidential debate. That brings us to hour number 2 of the Bernie and Sid show here on 77 WABC. Had a great first hour. The head of the Catholic League, Bill Donohue, stopped by. We start off hour number 2 with a very esteemed guest, a great columnist, not good, great, in the New York Post each and every day, and a good friend of the Bernie and Sid show, Michael Goodwin. Michael, Bernie, Sid, good morning, pal. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Thank you.
Nice to have you. So what do you think about this, about the fact that the big story today is the fact that Donald Trump will not accept Hillary as the winner if, in fact, she does win?
Yeah, look, I think that is probably the only news that came out of the debate. I think that it was a question that Trump could have answered in a different way that would have conveyed the same concern without the absolute, way of saying I won't accept it. Joe Walsh, a friend of mine, former Republican congressman from Chicago, wrote essentially that the correct answer is yes, as soon as the results are final, and I'm sure there wasn't fraud. Right. That would have been the answer that I think would have been a better answer and would have gotten this monkey off of Trump's back and turned the issue more to what happened last night and the rest of the debate and where the country wants to go instead of just that one narrow question.
And, of course, Hillary Clinton, she overplays her hand. She says what Trump said was horrifying. Horrifying is
appalling.
No, she said horrifying. Horrifying is what Jerry Sandusky did, is what Bill Clinton did to the intern in the White House. That's horrifying, Hillary, not this. But, Michael Goodwin, you did write in the New York Post this morning, you have a must-read column. And you did say that Trump had done well. He delivered his best prepared and most substantive performance thus far. However, you go on to say what?
Well, look, did he move the needle? Did he attract the independents? My answer to that is no, I don't believe he did. And at this late date, it's going to get harder and harder now. That was a big opportunity last night, the last big audience, the last time he'll be on the stage with her, and I think he didn't change the contour of the race. And look, some of the polls might be wrong, but they're not all wrong, and so I subscribe to the idea that he is behind and that she is opening up a lead nationally in the 6 to 8 point range. And when you translate that into votes, in terms of turnout, we're talking probably 10 or 12 million votes that separates them at this point. very hard to make that up. And then you look at the Electoral College, and I think with the exception of Ohio, she is at least tied or leading in all of the other battleground states. And then, of course, there are outliers like Arizona, where she apparently is doing very well, which is a traditional red state. So I think his path to victory is a really steep climb at this point, and I don't think he really helped himself in that regard last night.
No, the numbers don't add up. Unless you believe this silent Brexit thing exists, in millions, by the way, then he really has no chance. I would say this, though, Michael. Unlike the debates during the primary where he stood out and people loved his charm and his appeal and he vanquished the other 16 people, if you really look at what's happened against Hillary, even though Trump supporters think he fared well in the second debate, I think he's got a qualifier before, which is just live another day, you did okay. I think he lost all three, to be honest with you. And I don't think he could beat her on any stage at any night because he's not articulate enough to get his points across. But you'd have to agree, Michael, that starting with the first debate, he's never come back.
Well, look, I would agree that his debate performances have never quite, they've never been great. They've had periods within them that were fine, some good, and some bad. But I think the real problem for him has been between debates. It was after the first debate where he got into the fight with the Khans, after the second debate where he got into the fight with the former Miss Universe, Machado. So I think it's been that the debates are not what's defeating Donald Trump. They have kept him from, I think, seizing his opportunities. He's not nimble verbally.
No.
He doesn't move quickly. I mean, for example, the foundation question last night, the corruption, the pay-to-play. What he should have said after she kind of dodged it right away was, look, the issue is, what did you do with the money? Where did all the money come from? What did you do with it? All these pay-to-play. In other words, Chris Wallace asked a question, but Trump did not have the nimbleness to pounce in the way that she did when tough questions came to him. So I think that the debates, he left a lot of money on the table. This is Vegas. But I think it's the between the debate performances that have really made it very difficult for him.
But you're exactly right on him not highlighting or exploiting the corruption with the foundation and her as Secretary of State. He did an adequate job with Haiti, how they raped Haiti. But for the life of me, when Putin comes up, I don't understand why he doesn't bring up the fact that she approved as Secretary of State the transfer of the sale of 20% of the uranium in the world from the United States to Putin, Russia itself. And Bill got $500,000 from a Russian company. The Clinton Global Foundation got millions of dollars, and we lost 20% of the world's uranium. I don't understand why he doesn't bring that up.
Look, I think that is exactly the point, Bernard. It's his inability to prosecute the argument in a way that would resonate and in a way that would nail down the topic to the audience. But that's just not what he's good at. He is a disruptor. He is good at throwing sand in the gears and saying, look over there, look over here. But this kind of close quarter verbal combat, once you get beyond the insult machine,
right,
he's just not that good at it. And she's, I think we have to give her some credit.
She's real good.
She's a pretty good debater.
Yeah, real good.
She's been doing it for a long time. She's well prepared. She knows what she wants to do. She knows who she's talking to. She is targeted and precise. And even when she ducks, she's a good ducker. So I just think that she outperformed him last night, and this may be his last big chance to reach.
Yeah, he would have done well to stay home get a good night's sleep and bone up and prepare for. He owed it to his supporters to do that instead of being out at these rallies, which are great for the ego and all of that stuff.
Right.
But not for these debates, which are extremely important.
And then I would ask you this, Michael, the great post columnist Michael Goodwin here with Bernie and Sid. On one hand, we're talking about how he has opportunities and doesn't seize them when given the opportunity at these debates. And then outside the debates, you talked about some of the other distracting issues that have hurt him. This whining about the election being rigged, I understand the media's against him. You've written that. I agree with that. I'm voting for Hillary. I agree that it's a bias against him. I get it. But why does he think that whining about all that stuff, including when his own party goes out after him, is going to help him?
Well, look, I don't know the exact answer to that. I don't know that this is necessarily a rational choice on his part. If we were to assume that it's rational, though, if we're to assume that he's thought this through and he's given this answer because he thinks it will help him, then I think he's talking about holding his supporters, that he is being true to that 38-40% who are with him come hell or high water. So I think that's a mistake. I think, you don't have to give them more and more and more. You have to add voters at this stage. It's a game of addition, and he is not adding to his following. That's the way I look at it, and so I'm not sure it's a rational decision. I think that what Hillary Clinton has been trying to say, and I think she's had a lot of success, is this is who he is. This is a mindset. It's not a thought process in the sense of I'm going out there with a plan to attract independent voters.
And even that last night, he had a chance to debunk that, and instead he giggled on the Emmy deal, which was cute and it was kind of funny, but all it did was drive home her point.
Yes. Look, I think that when she said, his attacking him on the issues with women, and that he thinks this belittling women makes him look bigger. That is a devastating critique. And look, campaigns develop sometimes slowly, and issues take time to marinate, and narratives need to be confirmed and reconfirmed. And I think what we saw last night was her basically saying, see, I told you so. I have been telling you this for a long time, and now you can see it. This is how he thinks. This is who he is. So I think that it's not just what happens in the debate, but that it's the debate confirming lines of attack and lines of argument. And she did that better last night. But it's not just last night. She has been consistent in painting him as unfit, unprepared, and reckless and dangerous. He's been aided and abetted by the left-wing media, but he has helped. He has given that argument some credence. And I have to say that it has been credible enough that there are many undecided or independent voters and those who are not firmly committed to others, myself included, who need more reassurance, and I just don't think he provided it last night.
He did not. I don't think he did either. But and we're talking about his temperament and his style. But I think Michael Goodwin from the New York Post would agree that on substantive issues, open borders, refugees, Obamacare, he's on the right side of those issues. And unfortunately, he can't, as you said, articulate or exploit the fact that she's on the wrong side.
Look, it's odd, Bernard, when you look at a lot of the polling on individual issues, right? Immigration. Most of the country thinks that the whole immigration thing is broken. That we need to control our borders. We need to know better who's coming and who's staying and all of that. And yet, on the big polls, she outpoints him on immigration. So it doesn't make any sense. It's not a logical.
You want me to tell you why? I'll tell you why. Because he came out and it was great. No one's coming here. We're keeping everybody out. These people are rapists and murderers and killers and ISIS and blah, blah, blah. And that was all great. He came out with a bluster that was really exciting. And over the last 18 months, Michael, he's done nothing to really explain or further. In fact, if anything, he's coming closer to what she is saying, which is, well, I'm going to draw it back just a little bit. Maybe it's about extreme vetting. He hasn't added to the initial excitement when he first came out with those remarks 19 months ago.
Well, look, I would agree with you to the extent that he has not refined his argument in a way that keeps the essence and therefore keeps the people on his side who initially liked it, and yet expands the argument in a way that attracts new people.
Right.
I think on the question of extreme vetting, she moved toward him, knowing that was a popular position because of the terrorism issues.
Okay.
But he has not and I think this gets back to the personal thing. It's not so much the policy. It's like, in the end of the day, most voters, most even viewers of a debate, are not down into the weeds on policy. They like the general idea, they like a general approach, and then they want to trust you to deliver it. And I think it's that last part that he has not been able to nail down. He is erratic. He is unpredictable in ways that undercut the sense of certainty and trust and comfort that voters like. I mean, look, Barack Obama, I think, is one of the most dishonest candidates ever. When you look back at 2008, what he promised and what he delivered are very different things.
And you voted for him.
And I voted for him. And I think, but he is such a skillful politician that he can go out there and still sell the same BS and get away with it. I mean, he has a skill on the stump. Clinton it does not have Obama's skill, but she has more skill than Trump at selling BS. And I think that is one of the reasons, one of the differences between them. She is just more skillful at this stuff than he is.
Last one from me, again, Michael Goodwin, the great columnist of the New York Post. I know, Joe, we have to run, but one more. That is that, no disrespect to Bill Donohue, who just joined us from the Catholic League, but when he goes out there and says he will appoint judges that almost inevitably will overturn Roe versus Wade, how does that help him with women? I'm just curious.
Well, look, I think there are a lot of pro-life women, so I don't think that I think that horrifies pro-choice women, but there are a lot of pro-life women. I may be wrong. I don't think that hurts him so much. I don't think it helps him so much. I think it was a good question on Chris Wallace's part about getting that answer, but I have to say that I think that on the issue of partial birth and late term, which I think Trump was pretty good at last night, because that never gets brought up. And Hillary Clinton cannot answer that question. Going back to the Bill Clinton era, abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. Well, it's not rare. It's not rare. It's expanding dramatically, particularly among minority groups. And so I think if you are horrified by any abortion, certainly late-term abortion. I mean, Daniel Patrick Moynihan called it infanticide.
Right, and as you pointed out, the polls show most women are against it, late-term abortion.
Yeah, late-term, and yet Obama got away with that. He never showed up for those votes in the Chicago Senate. Right? So, I don't think that's it. I think it's a larger thing about Trump not providing the comfort that he is fit to be the commander-in-chief. That's a big topic, but I think that is the best way to summarize why he did not move the needle last night.
All right, Bill Donohue from the New York, Michael Goodwin from the New York Post, the Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, I might add. Awesome. Great column, must read in the New York Post this morning, all about the debate last night. Thank you for appearing on the Bernie and Sid
You're a great guest, Michael. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, guys.
Take care.
All right, back on Bernie and Sid, 1-800-848-9222. We go to the phones after this.
77 WABC.
We're going to secure the border, and once the border is secured, at a later date, we'll make a determination as to the rest. But we have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
Back on the Bernie and Sid show on 77 WABC. Can you imagine some of the losers trying to make an issue out of him saying bad hombres?
See,
can you believe this?
And again, I've defended Donald Trump for a guy that I despise, and I'm happy he's going to lose. I have defended him often, and in this case, I'm going to defend him again. Why would you get upset about that?
If it wasn't that he won't accept the results of the election, or he won't say he will accept them, whether or not he will, it would be the bad hombres. That would be the racist Donald Trump that, he slurs Mexicans again. Yeah. Judy from Brooklyn, you're on with Bernie and Sid on WABC. Good morning, Judy.
Wow. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Listen, I want to tell you something. At the end of the day, I was thinking about it, and really, all of us have different strengths and different weaknesses. And when you look at Donald Trump, his big strength is he's not a politician, he's not a lawyer, but he is a big professional builder, and he's done some fabulous stuff. He's brought in things that other people couldn't do, and he made it very efficiently at low cost, like the skating ring and some golf courses and all. He's a big builder. She's a professional big blabbermouth. And more than that, she's criminal. She's lying. She's whatever, you know.
All that's true. All that's true, Judy.
And I'll tell you what he's upset about. Every day now it's coming out more and more, all these illegal voters, all these rigged voters, all these busing people going from place to place.
Inciting violence as well.
Inciting violence, and this is very upsetting to him. And the truth is, his strength is in building. The way he's efficient and the way he's been building things and saving money, that's how he would build this country up, and that's what he wants to do. He's a positive person. He takes pride. He's very warm. You're
preaching to me, to the converted, Judy, but still, it's dispiriting right this moment to know he lost pretty much. The debate was tied last night, but still, he needed to hit a home run, grand slam. He didn't do it. Tell me why I should have hope.
I'll tell you why I should have hope. Because people like you, people like me, and other people that really know exactly what he's all about, and know exactly worse you know something. I would have voted for any one of those nominees because I am anti-Hillary. I really feel she is horrible for this country. She'll be a worse continuation from the 8 years of Obama. And it will be the point of no return.
You may be right, but I will tell you this, you're not going to want to hear this. More people dislike him than dislike her. And in fact, by the way, a poll that came out, done by Fox, Judy, said this week that for the first time, his own supporters' enthusiasm is lower for him than it is for her. So you despise Hillary. There's a lot of you out there. But what you guys don't understand is there ain't enough. There's not nearly enough.
And she has the media on her side.
That's true, too. That's true, too.
Sid, I want to tell you something. We've got, I don't know how many days, but things
19.
now are coming out every single day, and you just never know how this can turn around.
I like it,
Judy. Listen, Judy,
keep hope
you never
alive.
know. You got to keep. If you're stuck with them, if you're with them from day one, Judy, I commend you for sticking out to the end. You should do that, but there's no logical, rational explanation to have him winning. None.
Judy just bolstered my spirit.
You feel better?
I feel a lot better.
But I could replay Michael Goodwin, who says that based upon the numbers and electoral college, he's got no chance of winning.
Let me have a moment here. Hey,
now, listen, she's been very good from day one. She's a big Trump supporter. And like you, I appreciate you got to stick with the guy.
William from Long Island. You're on with Bernie and Sid on WABC. Good morning, William.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Hey, well.
Could be worse.
Could be worse, yeah. Well, anyway, listen, I'm calling because I've been listening to you guys every morning on the train, and, last night I was sitting watching the debate, and I just can't believe how close this country is to electing, like, a proven criminal who's, proven a liar.
Now, listen, you're a millennial. You just graduated college, right?
Yep, I just got out. I know what it feels like to pay taxes. I just got I got a new job, and to be honest with you, I'm doing the math. I got my Bunsen burner. I got my calculator, and she's not adding.
A Bunsen burner? What are you, cooking meth?
I'm a film major, so,
cool.
I'm not talented in the science and math area, but when she says she's not going to add a penny to the debt, that doesn't work out in my head.
Listen, I'm voting for her. She lied about that. She also lied when she said that Barack Obama actually decreased the debt by 2/3. I don't know where her numbers are coming from. So, yeah, she lied. Listen, William, she lied about 1,000 times last night. But here's the difference. When you come out with conviction and you have confidence and you're articulate and you make your point, whether it's true or not, and the other guy is up there stumbling and bumbling and going back to the same 2 or 3 things he's done for 19 months, you're going to lose despite the content.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know what? I have to say, I think the only answer at this point is just prayer for our country because, even if you're an atheist, pray to nothing about this country because I'm serious. I think that, I read a great article yesterday about Trump and that, a guy's on his roof of his house and there's a flood up to the 2nd floor and he's calling out to God to save him. And, a rowboat comes by and he says, no, I'm waiting for God. And then a second rowboat comes by and he's like, no, I'm waiting for God. And then he dies and he goes to heaven and he says, God, where were you? And God was like, I sent you 2 rowboats. So, it's like, I think Trump is our rowboat, to be honest with you.
You're right.
And, it's not a good looking rowboat and he's kind of a klutz.
He was our last best chance, perhaps. With the open borders and the refugees and the Obamacare and the whole mentality, the ilk, the politically correct crap that they get. Look, the bad hombres thing, for example, they want to turn that into something. That's just typical. That's typical.
I disagree with you. I think he's the worst candidate in the history of the presidency. He is no hope. He's offered nothing other than a couple of insults.
Second worst.
She may be the second worst, but she's not as bad as him. But like you're saying with the hombre and stuff like that, that is ridiculous. I will say this. we will never know if Donald Trump would have, in fact, made America keep up alive. But he's going to lose.
I know.
We will never know. But I'll tell you this.
I said on O'Reilly the other night, I'm willing to roll the dice.
You may as well.
Take a chance.
But there is one man.
What the hell do we have to lose?
There is one man who made one of our great cities better all by himself.
Oh.
He brought an NBA championship to that city last year. And now the baseball team has a chance to win a World Series, which they haven't done since 1920 and 1948. If Donald Trump could have been to America what LeBron James has been to Cleveland, maybe you've been right the whole time. Maybe.
LeBron James has hair plugs. I don't trust a guy with hair plugs.
You're right about it. Joe Buck almost died.
Charlie from Brooklyn, you're on with Bernie and Sid. Charlie, good morning.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Charlie.
Hey,
Hey, listen,
what's
I
up,
gotta
bud?
say, you know, if at the Al Smith dinner, right, if Cardinal Dolan doesn't come out and completely go against Hillary at this time of life, then you know what? Then there's something wrong with the Catholic Church. I got to tell you, after what Podesta had said about the Catholic Church and about Catholics, okay, if the Catholics don't come out, the 25 million of them, if they don't come out against Hillary, then there is something wrong in this world.
He's got to turn his back to her last night or something. He's got to confront her. You're right about that. But it's supposed to be a genial, fun affair tonight.
Right.
I mean, you got Dolan, who's pissed off at Hillary because of she's not forcing this guy to apologize. Her campaign manager, who mocked our religion, and another flunky of hers, a high-ranking flunky, this Jennifer Palmieri. And nobody is saying boo about it. No demands for apologies, no outrage, no nothing. So you have Dolan pissed off at Hillary, Trump angry at Hillary. Hillary hates Trump, of course. And this
it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be
It's
spectacular.
going to be like Thanksgiving at most people's homes. It's going to be. They're going to carry it live on most cable stations. But Charlie, you're 100% right. Let's Frankie Russo, Frankie from Brooklyn. You're on with Bernie and Sid on WABC. Good morning, Frankie.
Yes, good morning. How are you over there at 77 WABC?
You know, it could be worse, Frankie Russo from WABC. Listen to me on Sunday nights. I'm going to tell you something. This guy, Donald Trump, he's the real deal. He's going to run this country like Tony Soprano ran the damn contracting outfit or whatever the hell it was, the garbage thing.
It's better than what you all, this is the time that the will of the people are going to speak. Okay?
Yeah.
Donald Trump is the next president of the United States. Deal with it.
Okay, so let me ask you this, okay? Well, I'll deal with it when because I will accept that, unlike Donald will when he loses to Hillary. But I want you to explain to me, Frankie, so you're telling me that every single poll is no good. You're telling me the Electoral College, which by the way is stacked up against him anyway, with all that stuff out there.
They've been saying this about Trump from the Jump Street, son. Come on, man.
Frankie, there is no Frankie.
Some chick gave him a BJ in the 5th grade over here.
Frankie, there was no Electoral College on the way to him winning the primary. You do understand that, right?
Of course, son.
Okay.
It was a primary.
What do you mean, son?
Yeah, son.
I don't understand.
60 people, right?
Yeah.
Now, mainstream media, right? Let's look at mainstream media. You got the Democratic establishment, you got the Republicans like Paul Ryan, and then they frame the news cycles. Look at the debates. Those questions that Wallace asked Hillary Clinton, that should have been asked in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then by the third debate, we'd be looking at a free-for-all.
In the meantime, he didn't win last night either with Chris Wallace there.
Last night, bro.
Oh, you're an idiot, Frankie. Get out of here. I'll see you at the gym later.
Hey, Frankie, I'm over here now.
Get out of here.
Bernie and Sid on WABC, 1-800-848-9222. We're back after this.